So let me show you how to download and visualize some of the data sets that we've been creating at the Three Steves Winery. For the past few months, my students and I have been flying over the Three Steves Winery vineyard with a large commercial drone and a multispectral sensor, collecting data sets that we're processing. So if you go to our main page, drones in the vineyard, there's a Three Steves Winery data. The first thing you have to do is download and install QGIS. QGIS is a geospatial program that is free, open source. GIS means Geographic Informational System software, essentially a mapping software. You can download a copy for Windows, desktop, Linux, Mac, also your mobile and other devices, tablets. However, if you're doing this work, I would suggest that you use a desktop. The files are quite large. So once you've downloaded that and installed it, you can open it up and it looks like this, right? It's a very powerful software. There's a very vibrant community around it. So if you have any questions about using it, you can, YouTube has a plethora of tutorials. On the project in the upper left-hand side, you can create a new project. And this is sort of what you will see. It might be slightly different. Some of the panels and windows might be arranged differently, but these can be moved around and undocked and so forth. You get it. Okay, let's get some data. So if you go back to our web page and you scroll down, you'll see our monthly data sets, right? You only have November. There's this, but it's enough to kind of show you what's going on. These will open up into Google Drive folders, and there'll be a series of multiple files within each one. This is the RGB, stands for red, green, blue, or a color image. You want to go up here and select download and download those down. Those will be, I'll show you. If I click on this, you'll see those will zip into a file and then go to your download, and then you want to copy them and bring them into a folder that you can find maybe on your desktop. Unzip those files and make sure that they're all living together, right? Here's the NDVI. This is the normalized difference vegetation index. Again, multiple files. Select all those and then download, and then those will zip and come into your, get them on your computer. And lastly, there's what's called a Zonal Vine 2004 for November. Again, there it is. It's downloading. You want to again download, zip those, bring them into a folder, unzip them, and it should look something like this, right? So if I go, again, go into your folder, you can see them right here. And you want to select those, then drag them all into a single folder, right? For me, if I go to my desktop, I've already done this, drone images. Here are all those individual images in a single folder. Okay. There's a lot of, there might be, you will see in a second, they in a GIS, they look like one single file, but actually there's a bunch of small files associated with them. Those are all, a lot of those are little tags and information that is spatially useful. Okay, so now go back to your QGIS, and then on the left-hand panel here is the browser. You see it says browser, and go find them. So I'm going to go to Windows, users, Dancy for Tan Curly. Then you go into your desktop, and then here's drone images. And then you want to click on red, green, blue TIFF and drag that in. And there it is. There is the red, green, blue, or color image of the vineyard. It's pretty high quality, right? You zoom in, you can see tire tracks, so the different vehicles running around. You can see each individual vine. You can see the shadows that's being reflected that time of the day, individual plants. If you zoom in, each pixel has a specific color value associated. Dark green, light green, dark, different colors, reds, whatever, right? That's the idea of a red, green, blue image. So and when you can zoom around here, you can see that there's a little drainage that runs through the southern part of the vineyard. This part of the vineyard looks greener than, say, that part of the vineyard. And this is kind of this idea that it's useful just to use this color image as a way to kind of visually inspect 7 acres of vineyard very quickly, right, with a high degree. Now, the next image you want to bring in is the, again, normalized difference vegetation index, and you can drag that in. Boom. What's going on here? Well, if we go over to our other panel on the right-hand side, you can deselect the red, green, blue image, and now you have this grayscale image. Not very exciting, but just like the other one, you zoom in and there's a bunch of pixels, but this time, instead of color values, there's just a number, right? And so here, the lighter colors are actually a higher value, 0.9. The darker colors are 0.5, right? So that's the idea. Each one of those is an actual value, and that's the index value. Okay, so what does that do? Well, if you double click on that, another, it's called the layer symbology or styling shows up. Layer styling, and instead of a single gray band, you can do a single pseudo color, and then you can hit apply, and then now we have the higher values are blue and the lower values are red, and that shows us that this is taken November. It's after the harvest. It's after a couple rains. The water's probably been shut off. The vine is kind of transitioning into its kind of winter status. And so it's understandable that it's not looking as vibrant as it could be, right? And so again, this is another way to visualize the vineyard. Oh, you can see that little green area tends to pop out a little bit more than other areas. This part of the vineyard looks a little greener than other parts of the vineyard. What's going on there? And this is another way to do visual inspection. However, it's not the power of GIS, remote sensing. So we have a third file we want to bring in. It's called Zonal Vine, and we're going to drag it and drop. And it's a series of boxes. Again, we can double click that and come up with our little layer properties. We can click on Simple Fill. We can use transparent and maybe make this dark, maybe just a little middle gray or whatever, something like that. Then hit apply and hit OK. So what is this? Well, GIS, since GIS is able to create these kind of points, lines, and polygons, we've created a little box, a 6-foot by 8-foot box, down each one of the rows, kind of mimicking where maybe a single line might be. And then we're using what's called zonal statistics. This is now kind of a zone that we can tell the computer to go, hey, pull out those values, right? And then run some statistics on them, which we did. And since each box can be associated with those statistics, we can visualize it in ways that I think is a little bit more powerful than what we're seeing here. So let's see what that looks like. So we go over to the layers panel, double click it, and this comes up. And instead of a single symbol, we use a graduated symbol. We can choose a value. In this case, maybe we'll choose standard deviation, right? Standard deviation. On both sides of the mean or the average. We'll choose spectral. I don't know, we'll make a lot of classes. We'll make it, 30 classes or something. We'll hit classify, we'll hit apply, and then we'll go, oh, so now each This is the standard deviation out of all those pixels there. That's the standard deviation. And as you pull out, you can see the whole vineyard as a group. Oh, now things become a little clearer, right? You know, you can see that, oh, look at that. There's this side and this section of the vineyard looks different than the rest. And then this top part of the vineyard looks different than the bottom side of the vineyard. And there's that area that we located earlier, right? And this, by having it in these kinds of, you know, again, each one of these stack of boxes is a row. There's 72 rows. Now we can actually go, if we click on that and identify that value, or maybe this one here or something, we can actually go in the vineyard or have it on a tablet and go in the vineyard and walk around and try to see maybe if we can connect what we're seeing here to what's happening in the vineyard. And, you know, we can, again, this is all the values. There's a lot of values. I selected 30, but we can, again, choose this. We can maybe go to edit that color ramp. We can slide this down, squeeze it all the way down, still make it red maybe. Make this, I'm just going to mess around with the visualization part, make that transparent, squeeze this way down at the bottom maybe, or something like that. I don't know. And then squeeze this down like that. Maybe I'm going to try that. I'm going to go to say, hit OK, right? And hit apply. Boom. Now, what have we done? Kind of got rid of the red, actually. Now we can see that the vineyard's actually not as bad as we thought it was. You know, we had last vineyard, there's a lot going on. We've now kind of focused our attention on really maybe certain vineyards. Maybe I did that a little bit too much. I can go back and then edit this one more time. Let's bring that red out just a little bit more, right, or something. Okay, apply, boom. Oh, yeah, there we go. So again, trying to manipulate that color ramp to really say, hey, you know, everything's doing really good. Hey, what's going on here? What's going on, you know, on this row maybe? And then we can start going and doing targeted assessments, right? I think this is the power of this kind of remote sensing, is that we're focusing our attention on certain areas because, you know, the vast majority are just fine. They're doing well. But let's just go in and be more efficient and more targeted about looking at our vineyard. You know, you got 7 acres or a couple acres, right? Walking these rows and looking at each vine is very time consuming. So you use this process. Okay. Other things we can do, if we look at this again, is a standard deviation. We can use count. And count means it's actually counting the number of rows. Oh, I need to actually classify, apply, and hit OK. And this is another statistic. It's just the number of pixels in each one. And so the red means that there's not a lot of pixels, which means that maybe there's some missing vines there. Or maybe the vines aren't taking really well if you're grafting or something like that. That's the idea. Or around the edge, you know, that there's some deer eating around the edge of the vineyard, and that's what's going on. So anyway, this is just another statistic that helps us focus our attention that is useful for vineyard managers. Maybe the question is what's the frequency here? Is it every couple of weeks? Is it once a month? Is it specific moments in the growth cycle of that vineyard? And that's kind of our goal, right? Is to use these kinds of visualizations, or us, and then of course offer others, not just us, others with much more expertise in viticulture, to have fun and visualize the data, and maybe in ways that are much more meaningful for them. Okay, well, everyone, thank you so much. It's been fun. If you have any questions about this data set, please reach out to me.